Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for making my boyfriend flush the toilet after himself? For context, I 20F work in a restaurant where if my job is to keep the bathrooms clean. My boyfriend 22 male used to have a habit of not flushing the toilet when he was home because before his parents would do it. When we first moved in, I told him to flush or I wouldn't talk to him. It's actually so gross. Anyways, between dealing with work toilets never being flushed and home never being flushed, I lost it. He was good for months after that about flushing. Now this morning is his birthday. I get up to use the toilet and a mess of piss and shit were there to greet me. I woke him up and told him to flush his mess and he claimed it wasn't him because he flushed. I told him I don't care and he needed to flush. When he was getting up, he called me an asshole for making him get up to do this. I know this is silly, but I feel like I'm justified for making him get up and taking care of his mess. But if I'm not, I wanna know to apologize. Edit. I want to clear things up a little. When I said his parents flushed for him, what I meant was anyone within the household, flushed or not, so randomly there would just be shit waiting for you when you needed to use it. They were never on well water, they just never thought it was weird cause they all were related. When we first got together, I told him this isn't normal and he said he'd change it. And for the most part he did, but recently has been slacking. When he lived by himself, I don't know what was happening if I wasn't there. But now that we're living together, has slacking. I love him, and I don't see this as a deal breaker. I just wanted to know I was just for being upset. Now for the top comments. NTA. Seriously, at 22, this man should not have to be asked or told to flush the toilet that he's sharing with his girlfriend. It's disgusting and childish. Get it together, dude. I have a 5-year-old kid who knows how to flush the toilet. If he forgets, I call him back to flush. WTF were his parents thinking? Not the a-hole. NTA. Flushing the toilet is part of using the toilet. Your adult BF is not toilet trained. He does not see a problem with this. I would maybe have one more serious talk where you tell him not being housebroken is a deal breaker. But honestly, this is probably not the only thing his parents didn't teach him to do that you'll have to deal with. I've always wondered what kind of absolutely disgusting person would leave a toilet unflushed. I used to work in a hotel and the amount of people who would leave shit, piss and puke in the toilet without flushing always blew my mind. I understand accidents happen once in a while, but how could you live with someone who thinks it's fine for other people to clean up your literal shit? NTA, it is gross. And is it too much to speculate this is a guy who doesn't clean and will need you to mother him on every step of the way? Why do people put in so much time with such early loud warning signs? Am I the antagonist for not sharing my garage with my girlfriend? I am 28. I'm in a 2 years relationship with my girlfriend, F27, and we haven't got any big problems yet. We don't live together, but she spends a lot of time at my place because she has roommates. I have her a 1973 Dodge Dart Swinger. It's kind of broken down, and I bought it really cheap a few years ago. The car is not that good, but I honestly have a deep love for it, and I spend a lot of money on it wherever I have some money left to spend. Recently my girlfriend brought a 2017 Renault Kwid. The car is nice. It's new too, so it doesn't even have a scratch. The thing is, my girlfriend demanded that I leave my car outside when she sleeps over so she can leave her car in my garage. She said that since her car is new, then it is more important to keep it safe. I obviously disagreed. My car might be cheaper, but it still is my car and I think I deserve to keep it safe because it's my only vehicle. She stated that I'm being selfish because she had to work a lot to make enough money to buy the car. So I tried to calm her down and told her that I could pick her up at her house when she wants to stay over. She'll be able to leave the car in her home's garage, to which she said no, and that she had brought the car to be seen in a new car and not a broke down one. Then she called me stupid and told me I was ruining our relationship for a car, and I answered that she was doing the same. She left and hasn't been answering my calls. Was I really wrong for this? Or should I stand on my ground? Now for the top comments. NTA. Your solution was really reasonable. Both of your cars will be safe that way. I think your girlfriend doesn't appreciate your stuff because it's cheap. She may not know how hard you worked for it, or maybe she just doesn't care. Either way, this is a hill to die on. She is always calling me cheap and says she is joking, but now with her comment about my car I'm thinking maybe she does think I'm cheap. NTA, she's the one ruining your relationship over a car. I told her so. We both have a right to love our belongings, not matter how old or cheap they are. NTA, I would be careful. One girlfriend sold a guy's 70s Impala while he was out of town so she could park in the garage. I was just thinking about that one. Am I the antagonist for not covering my scars around my boyfriend's family? I, 25F, had pretty significant scarring on both of my arms and legs. The scars are over a decade old but didn't fade well. I'm pretty used to covering them up for work and other situations. But I've gotten to a point where I no longer feel a sense of shame when I'm wearing clothes that show them. This has taken a lot of work on my end. And I'm well aware that not everybody knows how to react in a way that isn't hurtful, and that's okay. I can manage. My boyfriend of 10 months invited me to go with him to his family's pool party cookout. I've met his parents a few times before, and they have seen some of the scars and didn't say anything. However, his other siblings and their families, who I have not met before, were going to be there. I still was looking forward to meeting everyone because his parents are lovely people. At the party I wore shorts and a tank top which was modest considering that it was well over 95F, 35C outside. Also considering that I was wearing more clothes than anyone in a swimsuit. I mostly kept to myself and talked to my boyfriend's mom while he played with his nieces and nephews. He doesn't see them very much. After a while, his mom went inside and his sister approached me. After a couple minutes of conversation of her asking about the scars, yes, she led with that. She told me that she doesn't want her kids, 11F and 5 male, to see all that. Talking about my scars, because they're quite young, she asked me if I had brought a jacket or something to cover up with, and I told her that I didn't because of how hot it was. She offered to let me borrow a shirt from her parents, and I said that I would rather leave if I'm offending everyone. She huffed and signaled my boyfriend to us and asked him the same thing, if he had something that I could wear to cover up with. He said that I was fine and said that she was being ridiculous. She said that she and her kids would leave if that were the case, which attracted the attention of their dad, who, after hearing both sides, told them both to let it go. The whole thing was really embarrassing, and his sister was passive aggressive to my boyfriend and I the remainder of the time we were there. We ended up leaving early, and I asked him to drop me off at my place, even though we had plans to watch a movie together at his apartment afterward. He apologized for his sister and said that she was a B/TCH for what she said. But honestly, I'm not sure if I was right for digging my heels in. But it was very hot outside, and I was already feeling overheated, so I would have been miserable had I put on a jacket or another shirt. But this was the first time that I was meeting a lot of the people there. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. The only one who actually doesn't wanna see all that is the sister. Even the father didn't side with her. Also, kids Jaff edit. These heartwarming stories are everything. 3. My father had one arm. One of my cousins asked him where his other arm was. Dad said he left it at home. Adults laughed. Kid believed it. No big deal. NTA. If her kids asked about your scars, she could have said lots of people get scars, but it's not polite to talk about others' bodies. Of course. She wouldn't know to do that. BC, she has no idea how to follow that rule and effectively parent her children. You did nothing wrong. She should be ashamed of herself. Lots of people get scars, but it's not polite to talk about others' bodies. I really like that statement, and haven't heard it before. I will certainly use it if the need arises. Thanks. NTA. WTF. They are just scars. His sister was being ridiculous. If anything, kids might be interested in them. Better find a way to explain them that makes sense for children. No, scars should not be hidden. When asked about my diabetes censored by young relatives, I said it was my cyborg implant, which it kind of is. Am I the antagonist for turning my wife's joke about my head back on her? I'm a 32-year-old man, and my wife Jess is a 26-year-old woman. We have been married for 3 years. 6 months ago, I started to experience erectile dysfunction. This has largely been spurred by anxiety. It's a medical condition that I'm currently seeing a doctor for. Jess has gone between blaming me and then blaming herself. Basically weekly the pendulum swings one way or the other. Lately, she has found humor in it, and I guess I can laugh at myself a little. It's only a severe psychological symptom and all that jazz. Well, on Friday night we met up 4 friends with drinks, including us. There were 6 people at the table. The discussion turned into a direction that led a very drunk Jess to saying yeah, and I'm not getting any because this guy can't even get it up while pointing at me. My first reaction was shock that she'd say something that horrible and private about me, but without missing a beat, I responded yeah, and with a wife like this can you even blame me? Everyone laughed and assumed we were kidding and it was a silly thing we had. I mean what kind of a 32-year-old gets Ed in the first place, right? Well, the next morning, Jess was incredibly hungover but distinctly remembered what I said and got very upset. It wasn't a real screaming her head off type, but a quiet how dare you type. I responded that she just threw everything about me on the table. To which she responded that it was more of a spur the moment thing, while my response was calculated. I don't think I was the asshole here, but was I? Now for the top comments. My husband had an Ed problem a few years back due to stress and stuff. I will admit that at first I was worried he wasn't attracted to me anymore. He assured me it wasn't me, and I moved on to being the support he needed. He was only 27 at the time and his doctor said it's all in your head, and helped him work past it. During that time, and even now years after the problem was solved, I would never ever make a joke like that. Not in private, and not in public. You are not the a-hole, and I'm sorry your personal business was put out in front of everyone. I haven't had a partner with an Ed, but even if I did, what half is the wife thinking joking about it? If a guy made spur of moment joke about vaginal dryness, dead bedroom, lousy sex life, vaginal health issues, BV, yeast, vaginismus come to mind, I'm sure this wife would lost her mind. I know some people are open about their genitals and sex life, but even if they are, that openness should not non-consensually go to a group of random friends. I'd understand complaining to 1 or 2 close friends. Someone whose partner may have had it. Therapists and doctors. Wife was way out of line and got what she deserved with her joke. Imo I wouldn't make a joke even to my partner in private because I wouldn't expect him to joke about my PCOS and effect it has on anything sexual, itty, related. Edit. Absolute not the a-hole. Opus. NTA. You had 4 options. Sit there hurt, leaving everyone at the table uncomfortable, and judging your wife. Leave. Again leaving everyone at the table uncomfortable, and judging your wife. Argue about it. Leaving everyone at the table uncomfortable, and judging your wife. Make it a joke. Everyone laughs and moves on. P.S. Either A. There's something bothering your wife to make her like this, and you should help. Or B. She's always been like it, and you should leave. Just because you can laugh it off doesn't mean to should have to. Edit. Thanks for the awards peeps. Am I the antagonist for telling my daughter not to talk to me? Some backstory. I have 3 kids, 14F, 16F, 25F. They used to get along great. Then 14F got a cat for her birthday and 16F hated him. I think she's scared of him, but she refuses to admit it, so she used it as an excuse to not have much of a relationship with her sister. She's also been more distant with the rest of the family in an attempt to distance herself from her sister and her cat. My husband also dislikes the cat, but he doesn't let it affect his relationship with his family. My husband and I were at our friend's birthday party last week. We were supposed to be out late and 14 and 16 were home alone. 16 was taking the family dog out, and 14's cat was trying to play and was swiping at her feet. 16 called 14 to get her shithead cat away from her and told her what the cat was doing. Apparently 14 took her time to get there, then laughed, called the cat a good boy, and gave him a treat. 14 denied it, but it sounds like something she'd do. This sparked an argument between the two and 16 kept cursing the cat out. She knows this hurts 14 and 14 retaliated by cursing her out. 16 responded by telling 14 that she doesn't love her and hasn't for a long time. She hates her. She's so excited for the day she gets to move out and never speak to her or see her again. This deeply hurt 14 because family is extremely important to her, and 25 lives nearby but never asks her to hang out and only speaks to her a couple times a year, which is already very hard on her. Then to rub salt on the wound, she grabbed a treat, called the cat's name, and threw the treat outside. The cat chased it, and 14 spent over an hour looking for her cat. 16 called my husband and told him about their argument, and 14 called me and told me what 16 did with the treat, so we had to leave early. When I got home I grounded 16 because she escalated the argument by cursing the cat out, then hurt her sister by going on that spiel about how she hates her and she's going to be alone. Then for throwing the treat, but my husband ungrounded her and said that 14 should be punished for laughing and giving the cat a treat when he was trying to scratch 16. 14 asked if anything was going to happen to 16 for what she said and did, and 16 yelled that she meant everything. I told 16 that she ruined my weekend and not to speak to me. My husband took her side and has been sleeping on the couch since, and 16 hasn't spoken to me or 14 since the argument. Last night I found my husband helping 16 pack and getting her important documents out of the safe. When I asked what he was doing, he said 16 was going to stay with 25. I told him 16 wasn't going anywhere, but he ignored me and went back to packing. 16 is gone now, and my husband is still on the couch. Am I the antagonist for telling my daughter not to speak to me? Now for the top comments. It's not about the cat. Whatever precipitated this situation was brewing for a long time, and it all came to a head that evening. Yeah. There's no way this is the first and only conflict between all these dysfunctional people, and if Op thinks it's all sudden they need to start paying attention. This is careening towards complete divorce/separation of the entire family. INFO. Why are all your children's relationships with each other and with you so fractured? Why is your relationship with your husband so broken? There are much bigger problems in your family than a cat. If you truly believe it's all down to the cat, maybe the problem is you? Edit. So shocked to come back to see this as the top comment. Op, I've read every comment you have made in response here. You are deliberately missing the legitimate points people are making. I cannot imagine what it must be like being your child and trying to have any meaningful conversation with you. But it's clear 25 and 16, and maybe even your husband, are tired of trying, which is extremely sad. Never having had a top comment before, I'm not sure if I can make a judgment now I've seen more. But if I can, you're the a-hole. Edit 2. Been advised to add full stops in between the letters that signified my information request so that the later A judgment is counted. Am I the antagonist for not saving my girlfriend's son when he was pinned under a bench press? I'm a 36-year-old man and my girlfriend is 34. I'll call her Jenny. She has a son who is 14 from a previous relationship. I'll call him George. Jenny and I get along well in basically all but one department. George. As bad as this is going to make me sound, I really don't like this kid. But Jenny's rose-tinted glasses for him might as well be painted with a coat of black at this point. She legitimately cannot stop enabling his bad behavior, let alone recognize it for what it is. This friction has only gotten worse as she moved in with me 2 months ago because they could no longer afford to live alone. I have a basement gym that I have poured over $7,000 into. It has multiple types of high-end barbells, a power rack, and various other equipment. In past days I was a competitive powerlifter, and although I've scaled back a lot on that front, I still train very hard. When Jenny and George moved in, George started to use my home gym uninvited. I first warned him not to, but by lying through his teeth, he has consistently done it behind my back. I can tell because he leaves barbells loaded and equipment moved. I then put a lock on the door, which George broke down with a hammer. I then reinforced the door and put a new lock on, which George could not penetrate. Jenny, however, insists on having a spare key to the basement, and I recently learned that she has been loaning it to George. She tried cleaning up after him, but I could tell, since he and she are home during the day as he takes lessons online, plays Minecraft with the teacher muted. I can do nothing about it. Jenny won't return my key either. A couple of days ago, I got home from work and decided to hit the gym. Noticing the door open, I walked down the stairs, only to find George in the middle of a bench press set. As I watched him from the stairs, he went for one rep too many and got pinned. He was in no danger at any point because the barbell was low on his sternum, and plus it was only like 80 pounds. After 30 seconds of panic mode, he finally got the bright idea to dump the weight, to which I gave him a slow clap. I started to tell him that that's what happens when you work out alone, and he then shrieked at me red-faced. Then he insulted my strength, to which I responded that I'm not the one getting pinned under an 80-pound bench. He ran upstairs basically in tears, and then told Jenny what I had said. Jenny is also furious at me, and they are both giving me the silent treatment. She says I should have handled the situation better, but I say I kind of did when I installed a heavy duty door and put a new lock on it. I'm going to be changing the lock tomorrow. Did I go too far with how I dealt with George here? Now for the top comments. If you don't like her son, I would end the relationship, to be honest. Why even moving in with a partner whose child you can't stand in the first place? It baffles me. Edit. Thank you, kind stranger, for the award. I'm sorry, I put a lock on the door, which George broke down with a hammer. In a home that they only live in BC, they couldn't afford to live alone. With a hammer? That hit me too. That would be enough for me to kick them out. We had a roommate once who didn't like our gazebo, so when we were away he broke it apart with a hammer. Sounds harder than taking it apart the right way. He was gone after that. A lot of people are saying a lot of different things on here, but in my opinion, in dating women with children, if you don't like the kid, then you kind of have to end the relationship. It's super unhealthy for all three of you. Now, the little shit deserved it. I would have done the same, provided he was in no legitimate danger, as you stated. However, if you really can't stand him, if you don't want him in your space, then you have to ditch them both. Dating a woman with kids is a package deal. You can't just pick out what you want, the woman, then dispose of the rest, the kid. Honestly bro, the kid always comes first, regardless of the situation. So if you have that much of an issue with him, then leave her.